Hey everyone, and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we practice looking for value when there's fear and being cautious when there's greed. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin and a sell signal that just flashed with one of our indicators on the Bitcoin price chart. Before we hop over to that, let's take a look at the fear and greed. That was the rainbow chart. Here's the fear and greed, and we're going to hit refresh just in case. Do keep in mind, I get weird advertisements on this site. If you Google crypto fear and greed, it's a site, it's alternative.me, something like that. Anyways, we were in extreme greed a week ago leading up into the ETF, and we did get down to a neutral level of fear and greed right near 50 once the ETF sold off. So it does look to be curling back up. I do wonder if we're about to see a trend that is slowly, progressively going downwards more to fear, or if we are getting a bounce from here on up to greed. If we look at the chart overall, as you can see, this area is where we were at. Okay, that's what I enhance right there. So that little area has become smaller. We dip down, we're slowly coming back up. When we are coiling up in these areas, you do see there can be violent moves up or down. So something to consider. Overall, macro-wise, we are in a uptrend into greed. So maybe there's one more length up before coming down. We will see. You can see that reflected right here. This was the false top in 2019, the mid-cycle top, I should say, before we went down. We even had the COVID crash in March 2020. That's when we were in extreme fear over here. And overall, extreme fear tends to be good times to buy. You won't always get the lowest price. However, if you're taking an investment approach, which is something I promote a lot of on this channel, how to look for good times to buy, to hold, and to take more of an investment type strategy with some easy technical analysis that anyone can do just to try to give yourself an edge in the markets. So let's go back to Bitcoin. The indicator I'm using, let me close it out and then show you. So if you use TradingView, which I do recommend, and we go to indicators, you can search this up. I already have it favorited. It is the 10-20 MA, that's moving average, crossover with Heikin-Ashi signals. So that's the one that we're going to use. And the red dots tend to mean that the price is going down. The green dots tend to mean that the price is about to go up. The indicator and what it shows does change whether you look at it on a monthly time frame. As you can see, monthly, we haven't gotten a signal buy or sell since early October. Before that, there was a monthly sell signal and then a buy signal after. Buy signals tend to be very strong. Here we got one in the middle of the double peak. And look at that, after that mid-cycle top, we only got 2 buy cycles afterwards, where if you would have put in a lot of money in those buy signals, you would have done pretty well for yourself in Bitcoin and probably most of the alts. So monthly, we don't get as many signals, and this is important to check from time to time. You can go to daily, and this is more for a trader, because look at how many of these you get. Overall, we can chop up and down with those signals. On the daily, we have a sell signal. Let's go in between and look at least at the weekly. Weekly, we still have quite a few signals of when it sells. Sometimes it can chop around. Overall, this has been somewhat reliable. So I was curious as far as with the weekly sell signals, what might that be forecasting as far as what's going to come in the immediate term for Bitcoin? Might we get some better prices? So we are going to go back about a year, and we're just going to let's start from over here. And we're going to use this ruler tool right here. And I'm only going to be looking from that top to the next local low to see what that is. So we're going to line it up with that wick. And these might not be exact. So you can see here, after that first weekly sell signal, to the very bottom we went for that little sideways chop right there. It went down 28%. So we're just going to be taking a look at these areas, okay? Whenever a sell signal resets, what's going on. So here, that was 28%. This one, 27%. Just keep these numbers in the back of your head. We're going to go from that first sell signal. I know it went higher, but let's be honest. From that sell signal's top to the ultimate bottom before going up, 16%. So we've been out as low as 16, and we've been at as high as what, 28%? Sorry, I got to go back and look. Yeah, so 16 to 28 is our range right now. For a sell signal, we're going to look over here. So 16 to 28 still is our range. First sell signal in this area, 18. So we're still 16. So 16 to 28. Over the last year or so, heck, I went back as far as a year and a half ago, August of 22. So 16 to 28%. Where might that put Bitcoin price in that range? Should these weekly signals still fall within that range, which I think it has done a pretty consistent job at doing. So 16%, if we went down 16%, look at this. We are right near the 618 fib of 16%, which is 36,286. If you were to tell people that Bitcoin might go down as low as 36,000 pretty soon, a lot of people might think you're a little bit crazy. Right now, we're only at, you can see it down here, 42.5. So to say that we might go down to 36.5 at best, that's going to be an area I will look for, which again lines up on the Fibonacci scale of the 618. Okay, now let's look at the upper end of this. So again, we're just going from the peak of this wick down. What did I say the lowest was that it got in that immediate short term? 28%, somewhere around there. So if you look to the right, again, we're going down about 28%. We would be at around 31,000. 31,000. And that's interesting because if you look back here, these peaks that we got to in this little area over here, that was once resistance and now it is support. And so maybe we would just hit those areas. I know it's saying 30%. Let's go back to 28. Maybe we would hit that area for support. What I think is if we did hit this area, I would look for a possible wick. I would look for a possible wick to get down to this other fib, the 786. Maybe it does something very quick down to this 27 range. We will see. So again, at the very least, at the very best, we've seen over the last year and a half that when we get a weekly sell signal, getting tongue-tied here, we might go down to that 618 fib, and if we got around the 28%, the 786. Let's go back even further. See if we can find anything else. So this one obviously is going to be a lot bigger. I mean, that's 57%. I wouldn't think that we would get there. But again, we're looking at the first sell signal because we just got our first one. And we're just going to the next immediate low. I know it goes way lower. So you could say, well, what would it do just for this one? So even there, it's around 16%. Even though it doesn't seem like a lot, again, we're just going there to there, and it's about 16%. This one you can see is a lot bigger, okay? We don't need to measure that one out. This one, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt. At the smallest, I mean, look at that. That's almost 19%. We've gone back now we've gone back almost 3 years, and there's been nothing less than 16% when we get our first weekly sell signal. So just in the immediate, there, right around 16. So it's 16 at best, and it possibly gets lower. This one, I think, might break that 15%. We'll see. So there, we'll go to the next buy signal. So let's say it does turn around. We go from sell to buy. Look at that, 15%. That's 15% at best. Let's zoom in here, because now we're getting 4 years ago, which I think is more comparable to what we are seeing now. So again, I'm just going from the first sell signal and seeing what the next low is. So that 19%. So I'm looking for any little range as soon as we get that first weekly sell signal. Ooh, this one was pretty tiny here. Okay, we have it beat 8%. So this one was 8% right there. Looking for the first sell signal within a tiny range. Okay, here we got a buy and a sell. This one didn't really go low at all. 8%, not even. So this one we had a buy signal, sell, buy. We were making higher lows. We just had our possible mid-cycle top. And so I'm wondering if we did just have a similar mid-cycle top, where would that put us? This was the first weekly sell signal. In the immediate, that maybe, okay, this one's 18%. And as you can see, these things can chop around a little bit and then all of a sudden make a very strong move. Because when we got this first sell signal, ultimately it did go down 42% from that mid-cycle top. And you guys saw it's not always going to play out that way. I will say here for this one, we were already going up, and it looked like a possible reversal was going to play out. You could even see the moving averages that we're forming a little bit of a golden cross there. So I want to be fair. I want to be equal. See both sides evenly, not put on a bearish or bullish hat. We haven't gotten a signal in a while. And as you can see right here, that overall we had our golden cross area there. And so you could say if this is a sell signal, maybe a death cross, at least with the 1020, would be coming up. So again, if this moving average were to go below this one, that usually, it doesn't always have to be an indicator of things to come. It can be a lagging indicator. So I do think that since we got that sell signal first, and we possibly had a mid-cycle high, that maybe at best we might get to this 618 region at best. Hey, if it only went down 8%, something like we saw before, maybe we hit 39,000. Okay, that would be, I think, the best optimal scenario. Let's keep an eye on this week to week and see, are we going to turn right back around, get a green, and then it possibly shoot up? We'll see. You guys just saw over the last 4 years, overall, when the first signal is red on the weekly with this indicator, that the more likely it is that at the very least we could go down around 15%, 15 to even 30%. What was that large one from that mid-cycle, from the last 4-year cycle when we were at the mid-cycle high? It looks so similar to me, but let's say we're going from this sell signal. Let's say that's truly the one we're looking for, 42.5, okay? Let's say we went down 35 to 40%. I'm just curious because we don't have to have as violent of moves this time around. You never know. Well, let's just say 35. So that's interesting. 35, we're getting right over here. Let's say 40. Yeah, we're getting down there. So 35, 40. Guys, look at that. I mean, it gets right down to this level here on the 786. That's if we just did have a mid-cycle high. Nothing has to play out exactly as it's done before. So, just some things I'm looking for, just some things to consider. Outside of this buy sell signal indicator, another one I really like is UT bot alerts. And this one tends to show signals a little bit after. Usually it waits for confirmation of the price to reach above a former range. So as you can see in here, we were chopping around, and as soon as we beat that price, then it usually flashes a buy signal saying, okay, we created a new local high, and overall that's bullish. And if we get below that local high, then it turns around and says sell. So that's how this one acts. So it got above that last local high, and then boom, it's ran up. So overall, on the weekly, at the very least, like if you find yourself getting antsy and wanting to buy in and feeling excited by the hype, I encourage you, start out with either of these indicators on the monthly. Overall, if you go by the monthly, you will do fine. Now, if things have already ran up a crazy percentage, like if you go from how much time has taken place in here? Okay. If within the last year, whatever asset you're looking at has ran up 1,600%, I wouldn't be buying the monthly high right after that. Okay. Here, this was a ridiculous move. And I remember a lot of people did buy in there, and ultimately you would have been wrecked. So you want to be macro disciplined. Overall, if you would have bought around the mid cycle, around the halving, I mean, look at this. Look at the amount of money you can make. 1,100% just from these buy signals. And no, you're not getting the exact bottom. You're still getting 700% gains. I'll take that any day. So if you would have bought from this one, let's say, what's between 7 and 11, 900%? Oh gosh, I can't even zoom out enough here. It won't let me. I know there's probably a way to do it. Oh gosh. Maybe, here we go. Let's take it off log. Will this let me do it? 900%. You guys will have to forgive me. I'm using a finger mouse pad. I've been able to do it before and forgotten how to right now. I know, old man using a computer. If we were to go up 900% from where we had that first weekly buy signal, see right now it's on the daily. That's why it pops up in a bunch. So I would expect a sell signal on the UT bot alert to come up soon, possibly if it gets down to this price below 40 to confirm it, and then again maybe we get down to here and then here eventually. So anyways, guys, I saw that sell signal flash. This is something I look at every once in a while. Monthly's the best, weekly's the second best. This is at least just for Bitcoin. If we go over to the S&P 500, yeah, look, we got a sell signal and a buy signal. So the S&P, you can see some pretty decent moves down. Let's just take a look at this. What happens when our first signal is a sell signal? How far can it go down? 9%. Okay. 6%. This one's going to be bigger. I know I'm missing a couple. I'm just trying to get a range. So right now it looks like anywhere from, yeah, like let's say 5 to 15%, at least locally. Okay, this one's going to be, you could say this was like a little bit of a bounce back up. We had a buy signal first. I'm trying to look and find when we have a sell signal. 15%. Here we go. Let's say it's right after a peak like we just made. How low can we go locally? 13%. So let's just say, let's look at those price ranges. And I'm going from the top of that wick under the sell signal. Let's take a look at what 5% would be. Well, that's funny. Kind of lines up right with those tops that have been coming down. We'll zoom out to show you what that is. 5% there. 10% there. That's a trend line we keep bouncing off of. How much would it be to this trend line? 25%. Let's zoom out a bit. So this trend line I drew a while ago because it hit those peaks we broke through. Some people are thinking that we're going to hit that trend line and then go further. Maybe. We will see. That would be, what did I say, the 5% range again? I believe that was the 5% range. Yeah. So that might fit. I could see that happening where it comes down here and then bounces. Or, so you can see after that 2022 bottom, we've been bouncing off that. And overall, this trend line has had a lot of bounces. Even that was the COVID crash. Yes, we went through it to that one. That'll come into play. Keep your eyes on this. But we bounced off that trend line. We've been bouncing off of it since 2008. We're getting close to it. And this was where the 2008 crash ultimately ended. So that was the 2020 flash crash. I am looking at this trend line as a possible bottom. As you can see, it would kind of mean that the S&P is doing a double top shape. Now, if the recession were to get really bad, at worst, guys, I could see the S&P going into the high 2000s at absolute worst. That's my opinion. If we did get to this trend line, I would really look at DCA and dollar cost averaging in really hard. Here, if we match this 2022 bottom, I mean, look at this. How high would that be? We're just going to measure that out. So if it got to this trend line, that's a 12% move down, 10% plus. Start looking at the stocks you like. Maybe they're down 20, 30%. If we got back down to the 2022 low, look at that. That's 25%. And I could see it hitting this lower trend line as time goes on. So like 23% correction, 24, 25, whatever. 30%, we're at near the COVID highs. And if we had like a big crash, like something around 40%, and we're getting to this area down here. Just some things to play around with. Again, I encourage all of you to get trading view. Just play around, draw lines, see if you notice any patterns. Sometimes it's funny how we hit those lines again. I turn on log scale because I notice over time there is diminishing returns, and that kind of helps reflect that sort of outlook and analysis. So if you're wanting to get in Bitcoin, we just started with the weekly sell signal. And if you're able to be patient, I would say my first level is around this 36,000 level. You do not have to time it. If you buy in a little at 37,000, no one's going to care if Bitcoin eventually breaks its all-time high and you double your money around 70,000. Or if, look at this on the rainbow chart, let's say in the middle of 2025, I'm just going to go to late June. You guys see those different colored lines? Let's look at the orange line. Maybe Bitcoin only gets as high as the orange price, $166,000. So if that were to happen and you 4x'd your money, awesome. I'm not saying that has to happen. You never know. If a recession were to happen, you never know what damage that can do to assets across the board. So that's why I say dynamically dollar cost average is a possible way to offset some risk. So if you did like Bitcoin, and I do, and I like cryptos, and I like other altcoins, and I'll make a video soon on some altcoins I really like, you'll buy some here. And if the price does go lower, that's okay. You can buy more. Again, only invest what you are willing to lose or not use for 5-10 years. That's my rule of thumb, guys. With investing, one of my rules, any money I invest, I could care less if I don't need it in 5-10 years. So if you have money, extra money right now, whether it's $100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever, if you can just leave it be, then you will have a better mind frame on when to get in on these assets. So even if it goes down from 36 to 27, you don't care. Even if it gets down to something like 14,000, 15,000, you won't care. You will get more the lower it gets. You've heard me say my other rules. time in the market is more important than timing the market. So if you increase your time in the market, you will be able to find those areas when we do have big corrections. You will be able to jump on those prices. And then one of my most important rules about investing, make sure it's a product you like. If you don't know jack shit about Bitcoin, please don't just throw money at it. Do your own research on whether it's Bitcoin or any type of digital asset, altcoin, whatever. Don't just blindly throw money in it. I once heard someone say that if you cannot explain a product, an asset, company that you are investing into, if you can't explain it to a way that a 5-year-old can understand it, then you shouldn't be investing into it. So if I had a 5-year-old in front of me, what would I tell him about Bitcoin? I would say, well, Bitcoin is a digital form of currency that could possibly replace the dollar because it is not an inflationary asset. And right as I said out loud, I mean, what 5-year-old's going to understand what the hell inflationary is? Maybe I would say to the 5-year-old, you see this dollar? Over the next 100 years, this dollar is going to get you a lot less than it can now. But with one Bitcoin right now, 100 years from now, it will still have the same value. So again, if you can explain to a 5-year-old the stock you're investing into, the digital asset you're investing into, then maybe you know enough about it to actually be putting your money into it. So guys, I'm going to end that video there. Please know that none of this financial advice, I am just trying to use my knowledge, experience, and certification to help you find more value with your investments. When the markets are running, it's exciting and people want to be part of that excitement. I'm going to encourage you to think like a contrarian. Think of yourself as the not fun guy at a party. If you like an asset and it dips, I don't give a shit what people say about it. I'm sorry for the language. I'm fired up right now. And I want to help people make money because I've had to learn these lessons too. If the asset goes down, I want you to feel excited because that asset is at a discount. And again, first and foremost, this has to be money that you are okay not touching for a while. This has to be something you like and understand, okay? Because this isn't financial advice and you are making your own decisions. And so if you follow these rules and you're like, you know what, we have a monthly buy signal, dang, I might jump into it. And again, there's other factors that go into it. You can't just purely take technical analysis. We have to take our understanding of the product. We have to take into account how much we can afford, what is a smart investment. Please don't overextend yourself because let's say there is a recession. Make sure that you have money for a few months worth of rent or mortgage and groceries and all those things. I want everyone who follows this channel to not just learn about when the great value times are to buy, but also how to be financially educated, on how to be financially disciplined too. It can be boring. It can be boring. And when you see McDonald's employees making $10,000 off some random garbage altcoin, you're like, how did this idiot, and this is a dark voice inside your head. It's okay. You can admit it. We all have this. And you think to yourself, how did this moron get all this money? And here I am, this smart person, and I didn't see this. What am I doing wrong? You can't think like that. You can't compare yourself to others because if you do, you're going to end up chasing the hype, the pumps. You got to stay disciplined, almost keep your head inside of a bubble. Create a plan. Your homework today, I'm going to give you guys homework. What are 5 stocks or cryptos that you're interested? Write down those names, okay? After that, I want you to research if there are any stocks. What's its balance sheet look like? Does it have a big financial amount? Does their revenue exceed their expenditures? Do they have a lot of extra cash on the side? Because if we do have a recession, those companies that don't are going to get hurt more because we have high rates. A lot of those companies are probably struggling a lot right now, and they might not survive. I think someone said there's like possibly 15 to 20% zombie companies. And if you don't know what a zombie company is, look it up. These are a lot of companies that might go bankrupt, and they have more debt than they have cash and assets and revenue. If there's a crypto you like, just do some research on it, check the prices, maybe give yourself a weekly, or at the very least a monthly reminder on your phone to just take 5 minutes to check that crypto, look at the different indicators, and maybe make another part of your plan. Just write down, I would like to buy at this price. And if it doesn't get there, don't buy. And that's okay. You don't have to buy everything you like. You don't have to buy everything you use. Yes, it's important to have a diversified portfolio. However, after the lessons I've learned in investing, I'm happier if I have maybe 10 to 15 strong stocks and cryptos I'm investing in rather than having 30 of them. Because I can do a quicker amount of research on those 15. I'll feel stronger about those 15 than having my money floating around in twice as many places. So, thank you guys for following along. Sorry, I promise I try to keep these videos short. I think it's I think it's because I teach stuff about psychology so much. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about growing this channel and just sharing any knowledge I have and being real. I'm just doing this for me. And if people like this channel enough that it gets big one day, great. However, I do not care if this channel ever makes me YouTube money or not. I had a very nice comment from someone saying that my views can go up if I do more thumbnails. If you're watching, thank you for that feedback. I will definitely try to do that. I do want to help this channel grow a little bit. But ultimately, if it doesn't, I'm okay with that. Even if there's just 20 people regularly watching these and we have a small community, guys, I'm fine with that. I want to keep putting these out for all of you and for myself because it's just a good way for me to even check myself. And maybe that's something you can do as well. Try to listen to yourself, explain why you think you should be investing into it. Because this is something I've done in my field of psychology that I do work in. When I encourage people to journal, it's funny how much your perspective changes when you reread what you journaled a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. A lot of times when people look back on the things they journaled when they have been very depressed, they're like, I can't believe I thought that way. I was in a really low, dark place. And I want you guys to do that too, just like I'm doing here. Try to write down or record and justify why you should be investing X amount of dollars into X product, stock, crypto, and what your plan is. And then listen to that a month from now when the price is higher or lower. That can help you learn from your mistakes and see where your thinking was maybe a little flawed. Maybe it was too bearish, too bullish. So there's more than just the price action. There's more than just trading. I'm also going to maybe do more videos on helping the viewers become more mentally and emotionally disciplined because, yeah, I think I will, because when it comes to the psychology work that I do to help people, the way we use our coping strategies when we're under stress is so important. And not just under stress, even when we're feeling great. Sometimes when we're feeling great, we screw up too. So anyways, let's wrap it up. I've talked for 34 minutes. I apologize. None of this financial advice. This is just for education or entertainment purposes only. Consult with a financial advisor. And just, I hope you, at the very least, just learn from this. Please do not put your hard-earned dollars into X asset, whatever it is, whether Bitcoin or stocks, just because you heard someone like me on YouTube talk about it. This is step one. Step two is making your own plan and taking your own risks. So, hope you all enjoyed. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.